On their warm-up lap for the restart of what will now be a two-part race. That is the position that they finished at the end of 6 laps. We have a further 9 laps to do. Hatton, Appleyard, Maudsley, Loft House, Patrickson and Corrigan, and I'm delighted to be able to tell you that the 2 riders involved in the incident are on their feet and have walked away but will not take part in the restart. Both riders then fit. We now have 9 laps. It will be an aggregate. The times will be added together and the captions you see during this second part of the race will be the overall positions. So an exciting prospect of Andy Hatton on a revamped pole position, having been in the lead at the point at which the race was stopped. And both Roger Burnett and I are under no illusions that the riders will be trying doubly hard, if that's possible, in this second half of the proceedings. Andy Hatton, number 8. There's Robin Appleyard. Number 4 is Kevin Maudsley, just fiddling with his steering damper there. A final adjustment from Maudsley, and moving in to place Mick Lofthouse on the blue number 2 Yamaha. And a good start by Lofthouse, who paddled away. Just be interesting to see if he incurred a penalty for that. I don't know. It looked as though he almost jumped the start. And Appleyard is trailing halfway down the straight. Robin Appleyard, number 1, had a dreadful start, and he's at the back of the pack. So Appleyard with it all to do now. And it was Andy Hatton who got the jump. Number 8, there's Appleyard. Disconsolate Appleyard. That bike is not running. Appleyard is retiring. Hatton, number 8, leads then. So that'll take Robin Appleyard out of the proceedings. Right with him is Kevin Maudsley, number 4, in second place. Then it's Mick Lofthouse, number 2. And we will expect Steve Patrickson, number 3. And there he is in 5th. But the man ahead of him, number 9, is Paddy Corrigan, a former teammate of Maudsley's. Number 9, Paddy Corrigan. And every bit as frantic. Poor Robin Appleyard, he'll be devastated by this start to the season.
Well, I would imagine that his bike flooded. There he is on his own. He's definitely retiring. He'll be touring around and going back into the pits. There's a problem with that, probably a flooded carburettor. But it's back at the front. It's Hatton from Maudsley, from Loft House on bike number 2. We've got to give them a lap or so to get back into the swing of this, because it was really frantic stuff before. Darren Barton, number 40. Patrickson, number 3, coming up the inside. So Patrickson wants a part of the action.
Number 3 then, Steve Patrickson, very much in 5th place this time. He was working hard on lap 6 before the stoppage to get himself in the front 4, and he's right there this time. But Andy Hatton, the surprise of the meeting, best result in 93, was 4th place in the final round, and Andy Hatton finished up overall in 11th place in the championship. But he certainly started in style here at Donington Park. There's no doubt that he's the quickest rider on the circuit at the moment. He's now stretching away. This 9-lap second part, I remind you, will be added to the times for the first half of the race, and any caption you see will reflect the overall position and the final result. Hatton, number 8, leads. Number 4, Kevin Maudsley from Lytham St Anne's, second place. Then Mick Lofthouse, and there's a faller.
That was young Darren Barton, and he was going to be the surprise and the wild card of the race, but thank goodness he's okay. He's a young rider with a lot to prove, and he's not going to prove it by doing that.
Victory just last week at Alton Park for Darren Barton, and in the kitty litter here at Donington Park in round 1 of the Supercup. Look at Lofthouse. Lofthouse on the inside, up to second place, giving a repeat dose of that same unpleasant medicine to Kevin Maudsley, and the battle we saw in leg 1 is about to be renewed, Roger.
Well, Maudsley's up the inside. This is what happened to poor Darren Barton. You can see him coming into the picture now. He's lost the front end, he's down the side of the bike, and the bike just slid away. It's what's called a low side crash. The bike doesn't parts company well with Darren then, doesn't make contact with him, luckily, and he's perfectly okay. That's good.
One learns by one's mistakes, I guess. Andy Hatton, number 8, out in front, hoping not to make any mistakes at all because he's got a frantic tussle now. Loft House, Patrickson, Maudsley there, and there's Patrickson tucked into 4th place, the number 3 of Steve Patrickson. Paddy Corrigan and young Mark Norman, who qualified 2nd fastest. This is the overall result, I remind you, the caption. So don't be confused by what's happening in front of your eyes. The caption reflects the aggregate and the overall positions of the 2 parts. Hatton, number 8 then, still very much out in front. The sun shining here at Donington as Mick Loft House fighting off that challenge again from Kevin Maudsley. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they get to the S's, and Hatton went wide all across the rumble strip. Hatton went wide, and through went Mick Loft House, and through went Steve Patrickson, and through goes Kevin Maudsley. Kevin Maudsley on the outside, and Mick Loft House is coming to his weak point, if I can call him a weak point, but he definitely went wide. Any ideas, Roger?
Well, I would imagine he either felt that the bike had actually seized up, or he got into a false neutral because he just ran very wide going into the corner. He doesn't appear to be having any problems at the moment, and his left foot, his footrests are intact, and this is Andy Hatton leading the race, coming up to Coppi's corner. He goes into the corner, you can see his left foot trying to get a selection of gears there. He's braking very hard, the suspension's compressed. He's just misjudged it altogether. I can only imagine that the bike probably temporarily seized up.
Well, look at that freight train of activity. Mick Loft House, number 2. Kevin Maudsley, number 4. Their old tussle revitalised here. Patrickson, number 3, in 3rd place, and Andy Hatton, having regained his composure, has got himself back in business in 4th. Still leading overall, the number 8 bike of Andy Hatton. A tremendous start to the 1994 125 season for Hatton, and he's lurking now right in the shadow of Steve Patrickson, trying to redeem that error. We're not sure what happened, maybe we'll find out, but look at him. Patrickson knows there's somebody behind, and it's Andy Hatton. Now look over the shoulder from Steve Patrickson, and up the inside now comes Hatton, back up to 3rd. He's really on the charge again.
Yeah, and he's a big guy for a 125. He's much bigger physically than the other riders around him. But Maudsley leads from Loft House. Hatton won't be content with 3rd place, and that's the overall positions. Hatton's still leading as he goes into the S's in 3rd position in this rerun 2nd leg, as it were, of the 125cc. He pulled something off from his visor there, perhaps it was a tear off. Look at the left hand flicking on the clutch, going down the gearbox, and Hatton goes around the outside. That's incredible. What a manoeuvre around the outside there of Loft House, and now hard after Maudsley.
Well, if Maudsley doesn't look over his shoulder, he just might be persuaded into thinking this is Mick Loft House coming at him. And Andy Hatton still leading overall in this race. The number 8 rider in 2nd place is the man I'm referring to, and he's now tucked in. Look at them, line astern, out of the slipstream, and on the inside at Redgate, back in the front goes Andy Hatton, number 8, re-establishing himself in what he considers to be his rightful place. Kevin Maudsley, number 4, has got a distinctly different point of view, and they're weaving down through Craner curves. Look at Mick Loft House, true 125 racing, almost Grand. Well, you wouldn't see better than this in the World Championship.
It's brilliant, and it's 125 racing at its best. We've seen some fantastic 125 races over the years, and this isn't disappointing us. But Hatton is really on a charge, but you must remember that Maudsley, the angry gerbil there on bike number 4 leading this leg, would rather fall off if he couldn't win. He always likes to win. He doesn't mind if he falls off. So that's what you need to remember about him. Hatton in 2nd place is of like-minded attitude. He wants to win desperately, and Loft House coming out of the slipstream now. Off Hatton, he's going to go up the inside on bike number 2, but Hatton moves across, and those were the aggregate positions. Maudsley takes his foot off the footrest there as he changes down the gearbox, and all safely through the S's.
I'm surprised that doesn't disturb the balance going into that left-hander on such a fine line, waving his leg around the way he does. But Andy Hatton at the Melbourne hairpin is still in front. Mick Lofthouse, number 2, attacking again the second-place man, Kevin Maudsley, number 4. And you made reference to the fact, Roger, that Maudsley would, if he can't win, he doesn't mind falling off. It must be something to do with the air in the northwest of England, because I remember Carl Fogarty being very much in that vein. Fogarty, of course, from that part of the country, and Maudsley from Blackpool. The man leading, though, from Burton-on-Trent, has proved time and time again that he is more than capable of running with these very high numbers in the British national scene. Lofthouse's number 2 indicates that he finished runner-up last year. In fact, Appleyard was the fastest man. Lofthouse had a couple of wins but fell very badly at Alton Park. 1.5 seconds the gap that Hatton has in the overall standings, and another twitch there from Andy Hatton, and this is really hotting up now. They're dropping Steve Patrickson, number 3, away just marginally.
Hatton then went from the lead to 3rd place all in the space of 1 corner. And there he goes. They took down under the screen, and it's Lofthouse now taking up the running from Maudsley and Hatton. But who's going to go up the inside on the brakes into the S's? Hatton brakes very late. Maudsley goes up the inside and takes over the running from Lofthouse, and we've got a battle on our hands because these two are not the best of friends from that first leg that we saw. They were faring, bashing into each other. Are they going to do the same again? Patrickson, you can see in the background, who's not been shaken off particularly. He sets his machine up using computer technology, and a very fine job of that he does too. But it looks like it's Maudsley. There you see Steve Patrickson. There is an onboard computer on that bike. He does all the settings from that. You can see it there in the front of the screen, actually. Very good shot there. Back with the leaders now, and it's Maudsley and Lofthouse from Maudsley, bike number 2 back in the lead, and it's Hatton bringing up the first 3. But let's not forget that overall Andy Hatton still has the lead.
A bit of a problem there. They were looking over their shoulders. I'm not quite sure. Out of it. Lofthouse with his hand in the air. Mick Lofthouse, and a surprised look from Kevin Maudsley. It was almost as though someone touched someone else, but Mick Lofthouse retiring. The race goes on. It looked for a second as though the race was going to be stopped there for whatever reason, but no, definitely still on the pace here. It's a 2-man struggle now. Kevin Maudsley and Andy Hatton, and Hatton using his right elbow as much to say to Maudsley, just give me some space, you'll have me off in a minute. It's that close. Steve Patrickson, number 3, waiting there to pick up the pieces. He might get this as a gift, the way things are going. A good start to his season as well for Steve Patrickson. Kevin Maudsley, number 4, leads. Andy Hatton, who has provided us with some stunning entertainment and is leading overall on aggregate time. If things stay the way they are, number 8, Andy Hatton, is going to win this. Maudsley, though, giving it everything he possibly can find, cresting the rise down towards the Melbourne hairpin, and it's not all over yet.
No, Patrickson isn't being shaken off. Patrickson is a very experienced rider on bike number 3 in 3rd place. He knows that the 2 guys in front are winners, and he knows they want to win. Patrickson isn't probably prepared to mix it that close with them at this early stage in the season. He'll be looking at winning the championship, and his number 3 signifies he was 3rd last year, where Andy Hatton on bike number 8, he was 8th. But there you see Hatton coming out the slipstream of Maudsley, trying. His bike isn't quite as quick as Kevin Maudsley's, but he's running wide into Redgate. He'll be looking now to ease the power on quickly, down under the bubble again. Running very wide into the top of Craner Curves there, but still leading overall.
Penultimate lap then on this 2-part race in the 125 class. Overall leader, number 8, Andy Hatton, 2nd in this second half of the proceedings, and now the field has got itself a bit strung out. Patrickson still there in very much 3rd place, quite a strong 3rd place in fact, but something like 25 yards now the gap. Steve Patrickson from Yorkshire, Andy Hatton, the 2nd place man from Burton-on-Trent, And Kevin Maudsley, who started the 93 season with a win at Alton Park, is looking as though he might get a race win here, but he's in second overall. The second place man on your screen is leading the 1:25 race, Andy Hatton, on aggregate times. And he's now leading the second part as well. So this really clears the thing up for you. If Andy Hatton can stay there, it's not only on the caption, it's visual. Andy Hatton then with an angry gerbil up the inside. Number 4, Kevin Maudsley, going down through the gearbox there, as Roger Burnett said, the left hand furiously pumping the clutch in and out as they stab down through the gears. Number 8, Andy Hatton. Next time round they will receive the marker, which will tell them they have 2.5 miles of the Donington Park circuit remaining. Leading into the last lap then, Andy Hatton, overall leader on aggregate and leader of this, the second part. Kevin Maudsley, number 4, diving at the inside, but no good. Hatton closes the door. Roger, this really has been a cracking 1:25 to get the season going.
It's been a brilliant opening race to the series. Ask me who's going to win, and I can't really predict this one, I'm afraid, because these two guys are both winners. They're not second place men. Hatton looks like he's edging away. Of course, Hatton has the comfort of knowing that he only needs to finish on the back wheel of Kevin Maudsley on bike number 4 to actually win overall. So Andy Hatton should win this overall, but he'll want to win this individual leg as well. Kevin Maudsley, of course, should win on experience. He's the more experienced rider, but Andy Hatton is certainly having the ride of the season so far for him.
They're at Coppice, well over halfway round the final lap. Kevin Maudsley now leads. It's going to come down to the S's. They then have the Melbourne hairpin and the final left-hander of Goddard's to negotiate, but they're at the S's, and Maudsley safely through an almighty twitch from Andy Hatton in second place, and the gap now is stretched just a fraction. Maudsley there safely in front, but the second place man safe in the knowledge that he has the overall win if things stay the way they are. Maudsley then, Andy Hatton settling for second. Out of Goddard's, checkered flag in sight. Kevin Maudsley, number 4, takes it. Andy Hatton. And in third place, Steve Patrickson. Hatton indicating that there might have been a mechanical problem in those closing stages. But there you have it. Number 8 takes the overall in the 1:25. I presume he knows. We certainly do. Confirmation of that thrilling two-part 125cc race. Andy Hatton indeed took the win from Kevin Maudsley, who fought all the way. Patrickson got third. Appleyard didn't retire. He came in 8th in part 2, which puts him 4th overall. Paddy Corrigan and Mark Norman completed the top 6.
And we'll be back for more H.E.A.T Supercup action from Donington Park at around 4:15 after the Irish National. But let's